Hello?
We're recording now.
Oh, okay. Perfect. All right, quorum being present, the time being 6:02. I will call the meeting of the Freetown Conservation Commission to order. Before we get started, I'll have to read the governor's order, which I need more light for because it's so small. Pursuant to Governor Baker's June 16th, 2021 order extending the March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, this meeting of the Freetown Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information, general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public can be found on the Town of Freetown website, freetownma.gov. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website or YouTube channel an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Apologize for last week. I was on vacation and wasn't set up to be a part of the meeting, so I do apologize. So thank you folks for your patience. All right, before we get started, there's a couple of agenda items that are going to be looking for continuances, so I'm going to just get those out of the way so that we don't have people here waiting for that. And those agenda items would be agenda items number 5 and number 6. They're both continued notice of intent. The first one is for 67 Chase Road. The second one is for off Chipaway Road, does not have an actual address. These were presented to the board some time ago. They are continuing in peer review. I am due to have a meeting hopefully on Friday with both the applicant and the peer review. So we can see about getting this facilitated and moving on. There was some confusion on our part. There's no fault with the actual applicant or the peer review engineer. It was an office situation due to lack of staff. So I will call those two back to order. It's Alan Alves, 67 Chase Road, TGA Clean Energy, notice of intent. I will call that one back to order. And additionally, I will call the one back to order. This is Justin Alves, Just Solar LLC. Both are represented by ET Engineering Enterprises. I spoke with him today, and he's asked to be continued to the first meeting in January. So what's the date in January? So the first Monday in January would be January 3rd. That is near, obviously, the holiday. So if people aren't going to be around, let me know. If not, then it would be the 10th. So do we have a preference, the 3rd or the 10th?
Kevin, I'm at the fire station on the 3rd.
All right. Charlie, we're going to go to the 10th. You going to be all right with that?
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I'll be there.
Oh, perfect. All right. So that being said, I will entertain a motion to continue both of those public hearings to January 10th, 6 o'clock via Zoom.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and supported. There's no further discussion on the motion. All in favor? Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan,
Aye.
Keith Mello,
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Keith Mello, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. Is Chris Mather here?
No.
Okay. So those have both been, so if you've been here or whatever, if you're here for that public hearing, we won't be taking that up again until the 10th of January. The next request for a continuation comes from our friends, the Millbrook Bogs Restoration Project. We have tentatively scheduled a site walk for the 18th of December. I'm sorry, that would be the 19th of December, excuse me. And then the 20th, we would have the meeting. So they've asked for a continuance till that night on the 20th. So I'll call that public hearing back to order. Again, this is for the bog restoration, Millbrook Bogs, which is off of Howland Road. I'll call that public hearing back to order, and I will entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to December 20th, 6 o'clock via Zoom.
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Motion made and supported. If there's no further discussion on the motion, hearing none, roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. Motion passes unanimous. Okay, again, folks, if you were here for that, we won't be taking that up again until December 20th. Okay, first on our agenda, we have a request for determination of non-significance. This would be at 6 Quedicus Ave, and truth be told, I've been doing this a while now. I've never heard of a request for determination of non-significance. But if I'm not mistaken, we are being approached by somebody, an applicant who has got a previously approved notice of intent, order of conditions, and they're asking the board if their proposed changes rise to the level that requires an amended filing of the notice of intent. So do we have any, the applicant here is Allison Cesar here?
No, Mr. Chairman, but this is Steve
Oh, it's
Giosa.
That's right, Steve, I apologize. And is it Cesar or Cesar or is it Caesar?
Caesar.
Well, that was easy enough. Okay. Yeah, I tried. Okay. Do we have the proposed plans on our? Yeah, we do here. Okay, so we have the original and we have the new set of plans. Those that are interested and board members, you can follow along. You can go to the town's website, freetownma.gov. Boards and committees section. Go to the Conservation Commission section. On the left-hand side, fourth item down, you'll see Conservation Commission current filings. Click on that and you will be able to follow along with the PDFs of the plans that we'll be talking about. So this is not a public hearing. It's not open to public discussion. If there is an interested party here, let us know and I may give you an opportunity to ask a question if need be. So Steve, you have the floor, if you would, just for the record.
Sure. For the record, Steve Giosa with SciTech Civil and Environmental Consultants, and I am here representing Dave Vermette, the owner applicant of this particular property. If you want me to share my screen, Mr. Chairman, I can do that.
Sure.
And I can show the people in the audience the site plan if that helps.
Yeah, that'd be great. Could you give me the ability to share a screen, please?
Yep, it's all set.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a piece of property on Quedicus, and as the commission probably remembers, you approved the site plan for this. Actually, there's been several filings, and there was an original filing for this site in which there was a single-family home and a detached garage, generally in this location here. And that's going back to 2019 when there was an application made. And there actually was a limit of work approved down about 3 to 5 feet off the wetlands down in this area here. Dave's come along and he's proposed a little bit different footprint, moved the garage to the attached portion of the house on the opposite side. And we had originally filed with a limit of work generally in this location here. And the applicant is looking to see if we could shift the limit of work slightly closer to the wetland resource area. Here's the wetlands here off on the edge. We propose to keep a minimum of 25-foot no-touch zone and then 30 feet up in this area here. So less alteration than what was originally approved back in 2019, but more than what you approved earlier this year for this particular site here. So we weren't sure how you wanted to address this. So I think Allison asked for an appointment just to show you what the proposed change was, see if it was something you'd be comfortable with allowing this as a field modification, and I'll let the applicant continue. He has a buyer for the property who is looking to have a little more lawn area on this side, and that's the reason for the request. But we'll obviously defer to the commission on how you feel comfortable moving ahead with this.
Okay, so what's the reduction in overall area? That
The
in buffer
original
zone-
limit of
or
work,
What's the increase in buffer zone impact?
the buffer zone increase is about 20 feet in this location here and about 30 feet here. Again, when you looked at the original plan going back to 2019, the limit of work was down where the arrow is here. And the original garage was actually set 20 feet from the wetlands on the original approved plan.
Yeah.
And you can see we're showing limit of work 25 feet.
You're gonna be able to hold 25 feet. My only concern is, that area is within the riverfront buffer zone. And
Correct.
so right, and so we just need to make sure that whatever parameters there are for the Rivers Protection Act relative to the amount of disturbed area within the percentage within the buffer zone, you know the drill.
Right. And
I
again,
just-
this is a lot that was created prior to the statutory time period for grandfathered lots in the riverfront area. And as I said, in 2019, when it was still a riverfront area, the limit of work was quite a bit more extensive with a lot more impact in the buffer zone and in the riverfront area, with most of the activity being really close to the BVW on that application that was approved 3 years ago. So again, we can handle this whatever way the commission is comfortable, whether you prefer to see a formal amendment request or whether this is a minor enough change that you're comfortable allowing it as an administrative change. It's obviously the commission's call.
Right, so would we be holding a 25-foot offset to the wetlands
Yes.
all across the board? All right. Okay, well, that does seem in line with a lot of the other residential smaller lot projects that we have. And you are absolutely correct. Going back and looking at the original plans that we had proposed, this was the hardscape intrusion, and I'm, into the buffer zone, what I'm calling hardscape, the actual house and garage was further within the actual buffer zone. So in this instance, it's lawn. And but so at that 25 foot, that would be, after that, that's no touch.
That is correct.
Okay. We don't. So is that represented by the silt fence typical line on that?
Yes,
plan?
so we would actually set the silt fence right along this line. We would have the surveyors stake it out, and that would establish that limit of work.
All right, so you've got at least 25 feet, and in some places it's more, and it goes to 30 feet, right?
It's 30 here, and it's actually about 40 feet here.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, anybody from the board have any questions or comments? I only have one. It wasn't a condition, I don't think, on the original. But what we've gotten into the habit of doing, Steve, is at minimum requesting that posts be put in along that line, so that when new owners come in, and listen, we've all seen it. Somebody new buys a house, they get to start clearing things, and they've got plans, and that's where we're going to put the kids' swing set, and the pool's going to go. And we have little placards that we give folks free of charge, that basically denotes that beyond here, no work beyond here, it's a conservation protected area, Wetlands Protection Act area, that you would need to come and file with us. So I think if that's the case, then I would at least want to condition this, that we would put a couple posts up over there to have those placards on it.
And that's acceptable to the applicant.
All right, well, then I'll just by consensus, well, I'll do, actually, because it was a formal application, we'll do a vote of the board. Since I've heard no comment from the board, I'll entertain a motion that we agree with the applicant that this does not rise to the level of a major alteration and does not require the filing of amended notice of intent.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Thank you.
second it.
Motion made, supported. There's no further discussion on the motion. Hearing none, roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan,
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Keith Mello,
Aye.
Keith Mello, aye. Kevin Demaris, aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Very
All right,
good.
if
Thank
you
you.
could- Sure, if you could get us a plan set, if you haven't already on paper, that way we can stamp it and we can add it to the record. And obviously this motion was made on the plan of record that was submitted for this filing.
Sure, and I'll add the posts with the signs to the plan we send over.
Perfect.
So it's on the record plan.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, have a great night.
Well, I got one more later, but I'll stick around.
Oh,
and-
well, what do you have later? We'll get it taken care of now.
I have Debbie Petty's dock at the end of the night, number 9 on the agenda.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Geez, I'd hate like heck to have you wait all for that, so.
Well,
Why don't we do this? I'll take chairman's prerogative and take the agenda out of order unless somebody's gonna stomp their feet, or unless another applicant has a prior commitment they need to get to early tonight. Now's your chance to speak up. Okay, great. Thank you for your cooperation. So what I'll do is I will call back to order the continued notice of intent public hearing for 43 Water Street. The applicant is Allison Caesar and the owner is Deborah Petty. This is represented by SciTech. It's the construction and installation of a 95-foot long fixed dock with associated gangway and flow system for FEMA flood zone AE. The applicant also importantly proposes to eradicate the existing phragmites on the property. I've done a little research into that myself. So I've called the public hearing back to order. Again, folks, this is a public hearing, so we allow the applicant to make their presentation. We then open it up for questions and comments from the board and or the public. Just if you need to politely say, excuse me, if you're not on there, you can hit the raise your hand button, or you can simply wave. And Victoria, just make sure if you see somebody, let me know. So, okay. So again, for the record, Mr. Giosa.
okay, for the record, Steve Giosa with SciTech Civil and Environmental Consultants, representing Debbie Petty this evening on this dock. This is a continued public hearing. If you want, I'll share my screen again.
Please.
And we'll grab that plan to take a quick look at, and in this case, we'll get rid of this one. And here's the Petty project. So just for reorientation, Water Street here, the Yasona River, and Debbie is looking to construct the dock coming out. There are 2 pockets of phragmites on her property that she's looking to do eradication of. We did file a notice of intent. There was a correction or an addition to the notice of intent that the commission asked us to add regarding land under the ocean that as a resource area and impact. And as you might expect, you know, the impact in that resource area is really limited to the piles associated with the dock. They're about 1 square foot apiece. We've got 4 for the float system. And below the mean high water mark, which is here, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8 additional posts. So you really got a total of 12 square feet of alteration in that resource area. So Allison did modify the notice of intent and refile it. I know that, I think, Mr. Chairman, you indicated there was a need to maybe do a little more research on the commission's part on the Phragmites work. And I think there was maybe a discussion about bringing an outside consultant in, but I don't know if you decided to do that in this case or not. So we're here just to get an update on where the commission is on this and see where we go.
Right, I maybe I was confused. I thought we left it with, we were going to get this peer reviewed. If we hadn't made a final decision, I think it's best, you know,
Okay.
this is typical. You know, we typically have this type of work peer reviewed without having an agent. We'd be remiss not to have somebody look at this.
And that's
Uh,
fine. I wasn't sure what the process should be on the applicant side. Should they get you a
Yeah,
deposit?
so again, I'm gonna beg for a little mercy from everybody, and I know it's been the same tale. But we've just recently hired, staff. So I would expect in the near future that there would be much better coordination with applicants, and other interested parties. We've brought Victoria back as, kind of, part-time, so, she's gonna be helping out too. So, the process is such that, if we haven't already, we need to reach out to EPG to, find out what, an approximate estimate of cost. We get that check from you, and then,
Okay.
or the applicant, whichever, right? And then,
Yep.
we would send it out for peer review. So that, expect that to be handled this week.
Okay,
Okay.
no problem. I'll have Allison follow up with Victoria later in the week.
Yeah, it'll be either Victoria or Caitlin will be reaching out and letting you know. The
Okay.
email's gonna come from, they both get the same email, so no worries on that end. The
Okay.
Phragmites, yeah, it's interesting. We had a presentation, maybe about a month ago about a bog restoration, and it confirmed my suspicions and my experience that typically to eradicate invasive species like that, in the most effective but least detrimental way is to manually, physically apply it at a certain time of year. And oftentimes with Phragmites, it takes multiple applications. So I know we had talked about that, and that would probably be the course that you go. Any other way would have too detrimental effect on some of the adjacent plants and all. So
Of course.
I did do a little research into it, and I ended up calling that gentleman back from the Millbogs Restoration Project to talk more about it, and that's a summary of what I've come up with.
Okay. So obviously we'll look for a continuance to whatever you think is appropriate. The January meeting sounds like it should hopefully give the consultant enough time to get through things.
Yeah, I would say the January 10th meeting is probably best.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
All right. Anybody from the general public have any questions or comments? No? Okay. Any board members have any comments or questions? All right. I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for 43 Water Street dock installation and Phragmites eradication to
I'll make that motion.
January-
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. January 10th
Go
at
for it.
6 o'clock via Zoom. Motion's been made and seconded.
I'll second it.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion on the motion, hearing none, roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello, aye. Kevin Demaris, aye. Motion passes unanimous. All right, Steve, thank you very much, my friend. Have a good Christmas and a safe holiday.
You as well, and thank you for taking it out of order. I appreciate that with also the other applicants this evening.
No worries. Have a great night. Okay, now, item number 2, we have a request for determination of applicability. This is for 180 Slab Ridge Road in Assonet. The applicant's Ronald Oliveira. The representative is Niall Zager of Zenith Engineering, and this is a septic system upgrade. Again, you can follow along. This is not a public hearing, but public can follow along with us on our website. Is Niles here?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, Niles, for the record.
For the record, Niall Zager from Zenith. So we're here before you for septic repair at 180 Slab Ridge Road. It's an existing 3-bedroom home. We've got a resource area designated by Wetland Flags 1 through Wetland Flag 8, I believe, out at Slab Ridge Road. Actually, is there any way I can share the screen?
Yeah, go ahead, Victoria.
Yep. Permission.
Thank you. Everyone can see that? Okay. So the wetland flags go from Wetland Flag 1 here all the way down to the road at Wetland Flag 8. It's all BVW. There is a flood zone A, here on this side and flood zone X on this side. And we're also dealing with a riparian zone. The stream is located to the east of the property over here. This is the 100-foot inner riparian zone and the 200-foot outer riparian zone. So as you can see, there's some significant resource areas on the property. Luckily, we were able to get it all out of, almost all completely outside of the 200-foot outer riparian zone, just a small bit of grading and just a little bit of the tank, like a foot or two of the tank is in it. The leaching field itself is completely outside of it. We were able to get the leaching field over 50 feet from the resource area, from the BBW, which is a requirement by Title V. Basically, what's happening here is we're being forced by the wells on the property and the abutting properties to kind of come where we're placing this. This is all within an existing landscaped area, and we're proposing a silt sock on the outer limits of this. Luckily, we were able to get this to work all gravity, so there's no pump system or any mechanical devices that are necessary for this. So even though it is a fairly large piece of property, there's a lot, as you can see, there's a lot of things that are kind of constraining us here. And, you know, we feel as though what we've given you is the best we can to kind of make this work and make it, you know, operate better than what it is currently. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
Thank you. Yeah, kind of a busy plan. Like you said, it's a big lot, but everything's in one place. I see the existing location of septic system is where the newly proposed leaching field is. So obviously that's going to be removed in accordance with 310.
That is correct.
All right. So is there a septic tank currently, or is, I see no other infrastructure to be removed, right? Or are we reusing, no, that's a proposed, so that's a new septic tank.
The tank is actually pretty much right in the same exact place as where the proposed tank is going.
Where the proposed tank is going.
That is correct.
All right, so again, so we'll condition it that the existing tank is going to be removed too, right? We're not leaving that in.
That's correct. It has to be removed as part of this.
Has to be removed, right? Okay. All right. Well, anybody from the board have any questions? It's pretty straightforward. You can't put it anywhere else. I mean, you're at the limits from wells, and so there's no other comment from the board. Then I'll happily entertain a motion that we issue a negative determination number 3, that the work is within a buffer zone to a resource area, but will not dredge, alter, or fill an area subject to protection of the act.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
Motion made, supported. No further discussion on the motion. Hearing none. All those in favor? Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. Motion passes unanimous. All right, Mr. Zager, thank you. Do you have anything else on our agenda tonight?
I do, Mr. Chairman. I have the next item on the agenda for 16 Elm Street.
Oh, that was convenient for you. Okay. Item number 3, request for determination of applicability. This is for 16 Elm Street in Assonet. The owner is Bob Lima. And applicant is Bob Lima, representative Zenith Consulting, and scope of work is a septic system upgrade. Again, this is not a public hearing, but you can follow along on our website. This is 16 Elm Street and the plans. Oh, shoot. Hey, Victoria, it didn't come through as I can't download the PDF. That's all right. I have the plan. So go ahead. You can do a screen share, right?
Yes, I believe it's already being shared.
Okay. So go ahead again, just for the record.
Of course, for the record, now Zager from Zenith Consulting Engineers here on behalf of Mr. Lima at 16 Elm Street. Again, this is a much smaller lot. It's only about just under 16,000 square feet in area. There's an intermittent stream drainage ditch that runs across the back of the property, and there's a drainage pipe that 24-inch HDP drainage pipe that connects between that, goes across Christie Lane and goes into another drainage ditch, and then ultimately goes from there. And then there's also another BVW across the way, across Elm Street, with a drainage pipe that enters into that same intermittent stream across Christie Lane. So basically what we have is for resource areas is we have BVW and we have Top of Bank. We were luckily able to, again, get it out of the 50-foot buffer. The 50-foot buffer is depicted in this light blue, and the 25-foot is the red. The tanks are over 25 feet, which are required by Title V, and the system itself is over 50 feet, which is required by Title V. Again, we're going to be proposing silt sock as erosion control along the, I guess it's the westerly portion along Christie Lane in Elm Street in order to protect it during construction. This is being constructed in the driveway, and there's a gravel driveway, literally the only place that we could fit it. Because we also, the one thing I failed to mention is we have a well on property, which is this green circular radius here. So you can see that we're just getting over 100 feet from that as well. So, very tight site, but it does fit, and we were able to make this all work. So be happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
Again, Niles, this is like the last one. It's tight. Well, the last one had more property, but this is just tight. You kind of dictated to where you can put the darn thing because of the rules and regulations. They're there for a reason. So, no, I don't have any questions. It's a pretty straightforward repair. If nobody from the board has any questions, then I'll entertain a motion that we issue a negative determination number 3, that it's in the buffer zone, but will not dredge, alter, or fill an area subject to protection of the act.
I'll make
I'll
that
make-
motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Motion made, supported. No further discussion on the motion. Hearing none. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. Motion passes unanimous. All right, Mr. Zager, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great night.
You too all. Okay, next on our agenda, item number 4, we have a requested determination of applicability. This is 1A Estelle Ave. The applicant owner is Roger and Joyce Bergeron. Representatives Rick Sharon and Sharon Associates, and the scope of work is a septic upgrade and tree removal. So again, on our website, folks, this is not a public hearing, but you can follow along on the website and find their plans. Do we have Mr. Sharon here?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is Rick Sharon on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Bergeron.
Good evening, sir.
Good
I
evening.
want to apologize again if you didn't catch my apology, Rick. I know that there's some expediency necessary in this. Just last week's meeting just wasn't going to work out, so I do apologize.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you gave us a go-ahead to start submitting things to the Board of Health,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
this is a typical job. Again, you saw two previous instances tonight with septic systems where basically you have to thread the needle. You got to figure out the place that meets all the various setbacks. This area on Estelle Avenue is similar to that. I don't know, I could try sharing screen. I'm not too tech savvy here, but if you'll allow me to do that.
Yeah, Victoria, she's got you covered.
Yep, it's all set. You can screen share.
You know what? I just missed something here, though. Let's see. Screen share. And how's that? Can you see that?
No.
No? Okay. All right, well,
Rick, we can all follow along. We have them electronically.
okay. You have the plan in front of you then.
Yeah, it's not a public hearing, so I'm not all that concerned about it.
Okay. Basically, if you look at your plan, you'll see that there's two basic resource areas. There's the 100-foot setback from the edge of Long Pond, and we're able to get the leaching field out of that. The repair is out of that. The second area would be flood zone. There's an AE zone associated with Long Pond. It goes to elevation 57. We've plotted it according to the way FEMA shows it on their maps, and it's a little bit above the 57-foot contour because we tied this in with the mean sea level datum, the NAVD 88 datum. But regardless of that, we still got the leaching field out of that area. there's a change, and I'm not sure if do you have the November 22nd revision on this, or are you looking at the November 8th plan?
I have November 8th plan.
Okay, we mailed in a November 28th, 22nd revision last week, and I'm not sure if it got to you by digitally, because I'm having a problem with my email account. So I may even ask you here to just continue this till the next meeting, because we're going to have a number of variances here have to be issued by the Board of Health, and some of them require the 10-day notice to abutters. So we're at least 2 weeks away before we can have a meeting with them, and really realistically probably 3 to 4 weeks. So if we have to, I don't mind asking for continuance. here.
Yeah, if there's going to be that many potential changes too, right? And I was thinking that given the sensitivity of the area that you're trying to install this, if there's going to be potential changes, now that I've spoken with the Board of Health, and I'll have them progress with it, it might be beneficial for you just to wait till you get through there.
That
They're
may be
going
good.
to be more onerous, is what I'm getting at, right? We only have so much to deal with, right? You only have so much area you can put it.
Yes.
There's only so much kind of systems you can install, and so we're going to be dictated by that, right? But they're going to have their say on other things. So
In
it's
fact,
probably best, Rick, if we
gonna
do
say,
that then.
our primary setbacks have to do with well setbacks, and that's a Board of Health issue as opposed to a conservation
Right.
issue.
Right.
So I appreciate you allowing us to go forward with that. We can get that going with them. In the meantime, you should be in receipt of our revised plans, and I'll get a digital copy to you before the next meeting, and we can go over this. But when you do look it over, you'll see that there are very limited areas in terms of the existing well setbacks that we have to abide by, and we can't intrude on those anymore. So that's what we're working with. There was an old system there that we're replacing. A number of things involved here. One of the issues has to do with drainage out in front of the street, and the revised plan removes some paved parking area that my clients had, which will be replaced with stone to alleviate that and allow that
Okay.
ponding area to drain into the ground, which you really can't do it right now. It's an ice rink right now in the wintertime.
Sure.
So let's, if we can do that, I'll request a continuance to your next meeting, and we'll continue with our Board of Health approvals. And I think probably we may still meet with you before we even get that
next
done.
meeting, our next meeting, Rick, I think is next week. I think it's the 5th. No,
Oh.
What am I saying? No, yeah. Yeah, somebody, Caitlin or Victoria, tell me, is it next week?
The next week is Monday, December 6th.
6th?
Yeah.
I think that's when to stay on the schedule that we're currently on. Do we have anything that we've continued to the 6th, or do we have any new filing that we've advertised or going to do on the 6th?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, then. Why don't we give it a couple weeks then?
Just let me know when the next meeting is. Like I said, we've got at least a 3-week process with the Board of Health, minimum.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we'll continue it till what's the Monday after the 6th? We'll do that, right. That's the 13th, right?
Yes, 13th.
Yeah. So we'll do it Monday the 13th. Okay.
Excellent. Okay. We'll
Perfect.
see you all then, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Good night.
All right. Good night. Okay. And again, that wasn't a public hearing, so it does not require a vote of the board to continue it. All right. So next on our agenda, we've continued 5, 6, and 7. It would appear we have one item left. This would be item number 8. This is a notice of intent, the rear and 5 Costa Drive, East Freetown. I'm going to say this. Do we have the applicants here for that? Owner is Michael J. Costa, estate of Anthony Costa. The representative is Dale Knapp of Biodiversity Research Institute, BRI. Scope of work is ground-mounted solar array. This is your first public hearing, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. So just so we understand, again, not having staff, I have not had the ability or the time. I was away on vacation last week to confirm whether all the abutters have been notified, and if we, do you know if we received a DEP file number?
I do not know.
Okay, you would have probably been notified by now. So, so what I will do is I will call the public hearing to order. I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the public hearing notice.
So
I'll
moved.
make,
Make that motion. Thank
I'll
you.
second it.
Thank you. Motion made and supported. No further discussion. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello, aye. Kevin Demaris, aye. Motion passes unanimous. So go ahead and make your presentation. If there are any interested parties here, again, we allow the applicant to make their presentation, then we will open it up for discussion. Victoria, if you'd be so kind as to allow them to do the screen share deal. And folks, if you want to follow along with us, it is, okay, it is on our website, again, on the Conservation Commission part, current filings, 0 rear and 5 Costa Drive. All right, folks, the applicant has the floor. If you just be so kind before you start to speak, just identify yourselves for the record.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Kennedy. I'm a project manager here at Biodiversity Research Institute, representing my client, Costa Solar LLC, which is under the care of Ironwood Renewables. And we've prepared a notice of intent. So this project is it's a solar project that we've Kevin, as you're aware of, we've gone under the Form C process with the planning board. We've also filed a site plan review application with the planning board a few weeks ago. And I will share my screen. Show you the, can everybody see that?
Yep.
All right, great. So here is the site plan. I'm also joined here by Greg Dixon of Krebs and Lansing Consulting Engineers. They're the engineer on this project, and also Hamilton Carriers here representing Ironwood. Associated with this project, we have proposed approximately 2,665 square feet of BVW alteration at the location of this wetland and stream crossing. And we're proposing 2,700 square feet of replication to the north of that in this area. There's 16 linear feet of bank that will be impacted by this installation of an open bottom box culvert. It won't really be altered because that bank will be maintained as it exists currently. And there will be no in-stream work performed. The western side of the site, there's the tributary of Fall Brook that falls along the western boundary of the project. And so there's approximately 41,940 square feet of riverfront area that would be altered. All of this area would be within outside of 100 feet from the river, but it is still within it. So we did a wetland delineation, and those flags, there's quite a few different series of flags. I won't belabor you with listing out all the different numbers of them, but they can be found on our application. So happy to walk through any questions you guys have. Most of the impacts are associated with the open bottom box culvert, which, bear with me, I can get some closer details on that.
Yeah, if you could just let us know or refer to the sheet number,
Sure. Yep.
that way,
Sheet
those of us that are,
104,
Got it.
C104 is, and also sheet 3.00.
Okay,
Most of the information around that altered area would be located on those sheets.
perfect. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So, again, just a reminder, everybody, you spoke about the wetland delineation. Has it been peer reviewed?
It has, yes, as associated with the Form C application once peer reviewed.
Right, okay. And that, as the delineation as depicted on the plan is per the peer review. So for those folks who don't understand what I mean, we send this out to another engineering firm at the applicant's expense to review their work. And so if you could just speak briefly, the delineation was approved and confirmed by the outside peer review?
Yes, that is correct. Yep. I don't remember the woman's name who was on site, but
Brooke.
It was Brooke Monroe, wasn't it? Yeah, Brooke Monroe.
yep, that,
Brooke Monroe, yep. Yeah, in consult for environmental partners.
exactly
So-
correct.
So typically on large scale projects like this, we allow the applicant to make their presentation. We might ask some general questions right now. Then it goes out for peer review to look at more specifically now, not just the delineation that's been taken care of, but your adherence to the Wetlands Protection Act and make sure that there's good engineering practices used and good means and methods used. So that's typically on our next step. And we allow the applicant to deal directly with the peer review. And typically the peer review in general speaks for the board relative. They've been working with us for a long time, so they understand, I think, the nuances of our board and what we're looking for and what is important to us. So oftentimes we make a suggestion that if you can work it out, try to do it between engineers and get it done and bring us back the best product that you can. But at the same time, if there's a disagreement relative to best engineering practices, then we have to parse that out. And we've done it in the past, and so I guess what I'm getting at, if you're confident in your proposed engineering of something and they have a problem with it, you could certainly come to the board and we could, discuss it and come to a resolution that way too.
Understood.
Excellent. Just in typical, I know it's a large set of plan, it's a large scale, just, going through what was sent to us, it's a 439-page document, so there's some light reading for everybody. So in general, what are we keeping as an offset to the wetland as far as limit of work? And when I say limit of work, I don't mean limit of the arrays, I mean limit of the fencing, and any proposed access road that may or may not be outside the fence.
Well, the access road and grading obviously will run through this one portion of wetland. Besides that, the sort of limit of clearing is pretty much right up against the wetland buffer, or the wetland itself. So maybe about a foot off of it or something like that for clearing. And then as far as like actual roadways and fences, it varies, but obviously there's places where it's a lot closer, with some grading for some of the stormwater features, as well as just the road itself. But in general, we tried to stay out of the wetlands, but we're right up against them.
All right. Don't take this the wrong way, but that's a bit aggressive. I mean, this is a large scale land clearing project. We're all in favor of solar here, as evidenced by the amount that we've permitted in town. But but typically we ask for a minimum of a 25-foot no touch to the buffer, of buffer zone in the remain. And then we also, and again, I forget the industry vernacular for it, but there's a term by which you would basically cut the tops of the trees off at an approximately 20-foot height, 15, 20-foot height. So it allows for you folks to get your precious sun rays, but at the same time, it adds an extra measure of protection, if you will, for the environment. You know, a lot of those trees will become home to animals and insects, and the root systems hold better. And so, you know, I'm one member, but I will tell you that it's pretty aggressive to say that, you know, throughout the project, we're going to go right up to the wetland line. You may in fact want to revisit that. That'll probably be a comment from Environmental Partners Group. Again, with them knowing and understanding how we've permitted things in the past. It's not hard, fast rule. We don't have a bylaw, but at the end of the day, I think you should give some consideration to that.
Yeah, I think the project would be open to leaving stumps and maybe portions of trees outside of the fence of the array in locations where it wouldn't sort of impede installing the project. Obviously, there are some, the roadway itself and some of the stormwater basins are a lot closer, and those would need to kind of stay in place, but there's obviously
and understanding that, and understanding oftentimes the necessity for stormwater infrastructure to be located proximal to the wetlands, because again, that's part of their purpose in certain rain events, you know, to overflow to the wetlands, and so I get all that.
Yeah.
But where we're actually looking at installing the solar arrays in the solar infrastructure, I do again just respectfully ask that you would maybe go back and reconsider clearing all the way up to the wetland line. I think it's important. Buffer zone, in my opinion, oftentimes it can be equally as important as a wetland to certain species. And if we can afford them that little bit more, then I think it's within our purview to do that.
Yeah, understood. I think the project's amenable to that, and we can make those adjustments. Just to clarify, though, there are several wetlands that are non-jurisdictional on the site. Would that be applicable to them as well, or would it be just BVWs?
Listen, at the end of the day, if I understand the law correctly, if they're non-jurisdictional, it means just that. We don't have jurisdiction over them. So I think in those cases, I think if necessity rules the day, and you have to, then obviously we can be approached with that because again, they are non-jurisdictional. But certainly where the jurisdictional wetlands are, I really think you should consider that.
Yep. So if we make these, you know, changes to the site plans, how should we go about that? And, you know, send that to you guys, and so you can forward that on to Environmental Partners, or?
No, again, I would just say we should be CC'd on everything. So if you're sending in emails to EPG, typically they would send it back. We would get their response, not on necessarily everything on the minutia or the mundane stuff, no. But on things like this, yes. So a new plan set should be sent to the office if you're going to make those changes, and to EPG. If you are going to make those changes, then obviously we would have EPG hold off on the review until you get the new plan set in. We could certainly have them look at other things, right? And they're going to be doing that on the planning board side too, right? For site plan review. So this is all. It's going to be an all-encompassing review. No stone is going to go unturned, so to speak. Okay, nothing else jumps out to me other than, and maybe this is just my non-engineering mind and I don't know this, but I'm going through and I see that you have two sheets C1.00. Is that a mistake, or is that just the first and second? You got sheet 0.00. The next one that I have, it says C-1.00, and the third one says C-1.00. Don't ask me why I picked up on that, only because I'm trying to follow along on the sheet pages is really why.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake that we remedied for the planning review process. I don't know if we caught it for this, so when you look at that
no,
plan set, they will look very familiar, but it is fixed on that plan set.
Perfect, see?
Yep.
And it's probably something EPG would have picked up anyway, so that's perfect. All right, does anybody from the general public have any questions or comments about this project? Not a lot of interested parties, okay. So again, anybody from the board have any questions or comments about this? I know it's a lot to digest in one night. We could probably set up a site walk to go over there and take a walk on the property too. I've been on most of it. It's a pretty interesting property. If there's no questions, then I don't think for the December meeting that's going to happen in 2 weeks, I don't think we're going to have it back from peer review, in all honesty. What would be the next meeting date after that? The Monday of Christmas week, is that correct? I'm looking at my calendar here. So we're going to 13th to, the 27th. So that's the Monday of New Year's. Oh, correct. Well, we'll put you on the agenda for the 13th. If it's not ready by the 13th, we'll just have to go to the first meeting in January then.
Very good.
Well, that was
and-
Yeah.
Just to clarify, sorry, we'll make those edits to the site plan set and then just send that along to conservation email, via email. That
Yeah. And I'll have Caitlin's here on the Zoom meeting with us. So Caitlin, we'll have you reach out to Environmental Partners Group tomorrow if they haven't already been reached out by the planning board. And just to get the ball rolling on this, and you and I we'll talk about it tomorrow at work.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. All right. If there's nothing else to present, again, we'll get more into this once it goes through peer review, because invariably there are changes to the plan. If there's no other comments from the board, I'll entertain a motion that we continue the public hearing to December 13th, 6 o'clock via Zoom.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and supported. There's no further discussion on the motion. Roll call vote. All in favor, roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Folks, thank you for joining us, and I appreciate your patience. I won't make a promise, but I will try to put you closer to the beginning of the next agenda. How about that?
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. We'll be in contact. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right. Yeah. So that concludes our official agenda for this evening. I know that Caitlin and Victoria are both working on past meeting minutes to make sure that we're getting up to speed and make sure that we've got those. So those, if hopefully they'll be on our next meeting agenda. If I'm not mistaken, Victoria, we have an interested party that is interested in actually getting on the board. Are they here tonight?
Yes.
That was your cue to tell me the person's name because I've forgotten it. I know the
Oh, I'm
last name
sorry.
is-
Margaret French.
I was gonna say I know the last name is French. So, Margaret, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but if you feel comfortable and would like to speak, this is not an interview or anything. I just wanted to, since you were kind enough to sit here through the whole meeting, if you had any questions for the board.
It was fascinating. I need to do a lot of reading about the laws and stuff like that, but I'm assuming a lot of support from the committee committee members already.
Yeah, we
But
have the
it's-
benefit of some good board members, Margaret. We also have the benefit of utilizing outside consulting on the more technical things. And I know the town has recently been discussing the need to hire a conservation agent, some sort of full or part-time staff presence that has a higher understanding and can do a lot of what I've been doing with the reach out and all. So you're right. There's a lot to it. I've been doing it for a while now. Charlie Sullivan's been on the board for many years now. And there's a strong learning curve, but just it's time. You just listen, you'll learn. There's also the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions. They have I think it's them, that does the 8-unit how to be a Conservation Commission member program, if you will. And you can take that over time. Victoria, they do that online now?
Yes, they do hold the fundamental units over Zoom.
Yeah, so it's the fundamentals of being a conservation commissioner. And that's a good place to start. And we haven't, we'll get a book, every new member gets a copy of the Wetlands Protection Act. And if there are members that don't have one, let me know. And yeah, so it's, we're pretty good. I think most of the applicants enjoy coming to Freetown and dealing with us. We're pretty straightforward and sensible people.
Mhm.
And we're in need of a fifth member. So I'm excited that you've shown interest, Margaret. That's great. So what we'll do is we will put you on the agenda for our next meeting, and we'll have you formally come in. We'll ask you some questions and go through that, and then we can formally, make a motion to recommend, to the selectmen. We can't act on it tonight. Like, it's not on the agenda. Is the only
Right.
reason why. Right. So.
Right. I just wanted to come and observe the meeting and see exactly what goes on.
Sure, and it's and admittedly, it's a different flavor when we're in person. It's a
Mhm.
whole nother animal. I mean, doing it by Zoom, it's has its ups and downs. But yeah, I would say this: we have another newer member, Keith Mello, on here, and just by coming to the meetings, he's told me he's picked up some information and he's learning too. So
Yeah.
I think you'll do fine. We'll do fine.
Okay.
So. All right, so we'll have you come to the next meeting, and we'll reach out via email or a phone call, let you know, confirming that, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure thing. Have a great night, and thanks again for coming.
You too. Thanks.
right.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. All right, there's nothing else that any other board member has. I'll happily accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made, supported to adjourn the meeting. Hearing no discussion. All those in favor, roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Keith Mello.
Aye.
Keith Mello, aye. Kevin Demaris says aye. Motion passes unanimous. All right, gentlemen and ladies, thank you very much. Appreciate your patience. Have a great night, and everybody be safe.
Okay, have a
Alrighty.
good night.
Take
Yeah,
care. Have a
bye-bye
good
now.
night.
Yep, bye-bye.